That has to be one of my favorite songs. It's so playful. Certain songs you listen to, they just have a playful sound to them. And you're just like, oh, I feel good. This is great. So, yeah, but let's jump into this shortly. But I wanted to do a little bit of wrap up from our last live stream and just give you some insight and some feedback on some of the stuff that we had a chance to experience together, which was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Let's see if I can find it here. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? So usually after every live stream, I'm gonna have to shrink down today. Apparently, I'm getting taller. Let me see if I can lower my chair. Ooh, that was fun. So after every live stream, I will usually always send the leadership team members and also the owner a stat summary. And the stat summary will give them an idea of how many viewers did we have, how much talking was there going on as far as the number of chats. I think the one chat thing that we did with the rescued by Schmetz, we had almost 500 chat messages during that live stream, 400 and something. I sent it to all the leaders and they were like, "Whoa, we're doing a lot of talking," which is good, which is really good. And I also got some feedback from Schmetz as well, as you know, that they're really delighted that we're so happy with their product. And I was going to show you real quick, see if I can show it to you. The summary from not the Copperfest. Huh. Six days ago is when we did the one on Schmetz. Oh, there it is. 6 days ago, we did the live stream with the Schmetz needle rescue, where we were using the Hello Hobby one and just really kind of struggling. And then we shifted over to the Schmetz one, and we had victory over the sew offs that we weren't able to get from the other needle. But give you an idea of the interest when it involves Schmetz, look at those numbers. Within just 6 days, it usually takes a good month for us to get 1,000+ views, and probably a good 20 to 30 thumbs up. A lot of people just don't like thumbing up, and that's okay. That's okay. But when it involves Schmetz, it goes on everyone's radar usually, unless you're really a diehard organ needle user, then you don't care, to be honest. But yeah, I was delighted to see. There it is. I was delighted to see that we had 226 thumbs up. People like to see, it's kind of the American thing, isn't it? It's kind of the American thing. People like to see other people struggle and then see them conquer an obstacle, whatever it is. And we had the same thing on the last live stream when we had our customer in the workshop with that Elna Lotus 1000. And look at that one too. 65 people saying, there it is, eventually. 65 people saying, we love to see Scott struggle. We love to see him struggle and then eventually overcome. Eventually overcome, which we always do, don't we? We always overcome. And as most of you know, I don't have a chance to do a lot of watching as far as the live chat. I'll do my little quick go around and say good morning to everybody, or good afternoon, or good evening. And then I kind of move back over to the workbench and I focus on the machine. But someone had brought to my attention that in the last live stream with the Elna, that people were just curious about the materials that I was sewing with and the needle that I was using. And I think one person had also made the remark that they had an Elna, and they were able to go through 6 layers of denim. Now here's the thing, and again, just to keep us honest as a family, when it comes to sewing machines, they're all different, right? They're all different. We have lots of different types of Singer machines, lots of different types of Husqvarna machines, and certainly a lot of different types of Elna machines as well. And at our last live stream, it might have been Robin. Robin might have she had shared with the group that she had an Elna and she could go through 6 layers. Well, I reached out to her afterwards because I was just curious, just kind of curious what kind of Elna she had. And I learned that she had, let me see if I can get the model. She has, I'm almost there. I'm so close. She has an Elna Air Electronic sewing machine made in Switzerland. And it has a similar size motor to the Elna that we were showing. And but it's a DC machine, kind of like Doreen and Kevin's Bernina, also from Switzerland. Now, a DC motor is going to function differently. We talked about that in driving power down to the needle. It's also an electronic machine, not a manual one like the other Elna. And then lastly, as Robin and I were talking, having a nice chat, she shared the other thing I realized is what you were sewing on that live stream and went through 4 of it is that spandex denim stuff. Now, if anyone's done any research since on spandex, you know that it is notorious for causing skip stitches. And they recommend using a stretch needle. Some people say use a denim needle. Other people say you're fine with a universal needle because a universal needle is going to be able to handle a wide array of materials, as I've talked about before. And also the point of a universal needle has just a slight rounding to it so that it's able to separate those fibers of the material and try to reduce the likelihood of skip stitching. But the reality is spandex type denim and standard denim are incredibly different when it comes to how they interact with any sewing machine and any needle. And so I wanted to highlight that just as an opportunity. The classroom is about learning, the classroom is about an exchange of information both ways. And so as Robin and I were communicating via text, and text is not ideal because so much can get missed and so much can get misconstrued. But the thing that I think we settled on is we were talking about apples and oranges because an Elna air-powered electronic machine made in Switzerland is going to be different than an Elna manual machine made in Japan. And also the difference in materials is overwhelming. Spandex denim is a very tricky material to sew through. I'll be honest with you, I was incredibly pleased that I got through 4 layers of that successfully using a standard universal needle. But I just wanted to do some house cleaning on that because, it was a great live stream. We learned so much together. We had challenges, we overcame them, and we ended up being able to celebrate another great machine. And it's one of those things when you do live streams, anything can happen. Just like today, we don't know. So I love doing them. I used to do videos all the time. Live stream is such a different type of interaction with all of you because we're experiencing it at the same time. It's not a rewind type thing where we're watching a video, right? Okay. So that's enough blah, blah, blah on it. But I wanted to circle back to that just because I thought that needed to be highlighted. That needed to be highlighted. And here's a picture of Robin's Elna made in Switzerland. I thought I would just share it with y'all. I've used a number of air-powered Swiss machines, but not specifically this one. So, but she seems real happy with it, and that's all good. And I also encouraged her to pick up some spandex denim and give it a try with her machine because it's a new level of challenge for sure. Okay, so now focusing on our machine for today. And I don't know if I'm going to sew the regular denim on this Swedish Beauty. Notice it doesn't stretch at all. Or if we're going to try some more bubblegum denim and give that a try as well. Maybe we'll do both. But let me set these to the side for right now and just talk a little bit about our machine. And if any of you do Facebook, you hopefully saw on Facebook where I posted a number of different reels kind of highlighting the different steps that I took this Swedish Beauty through. Really was having quite a few challenges, and really quite and hopefully the owner of this, by the way, lives in Oregon, out on the West Coast. And so it's 2 hours earlier for Solange. What a beautiful name, huh? I didn't Google Solange to find out what the meaning of it is. But if anyone wants to Google the meaning of our owner's name, it's SOLANGE, Solange. Solange. As a matter of fact, you'll laugh at this. Getting ready for the live stream, there's a lot of prep in getting ready for a live stream. I sent Solange an audio clip of me pronouncing her name so that I didn't goof it up. Because some people are really, really, you've met these people, I know you have. Some people are really, really sensitive about their names. And if you get it wrong, it's like you threw their cat or you kicked their dog. You know what I mean? And I don't think Solange is that way. She seems very easygoing and very, very gentle in spirit and that sort of thing. But I still wanted to get it right. So I probably pronounced it a good 100 times getting ready for the live stream. Solange, 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 to make sure that I wouldn't goof up. But the machine was really dirty. I just wanted to say that. I had to go through, and all machines will develop some varnishing, but this one had rust. It had varnishing. It had caramelized buildup inside of it that was just choking the machine to death, quite honestly. And I had to spend a lot of extra time trying to break that stuff down and get this machine back to greatness again, which I think I've done. But it's just a process, isn't it? And that's kind of what I've been highlighting through my reels is the sewing vacs and some of the other repair places across the country, they've got a lot of overhead and they just can't take the time to dig into the machines the way that I do. 140 steps that I took Solange's machine through to get it back to greatness again. Probably 145. I wouldn't be surprised. But are any of you familiar with the Colormatic machines by Viking? I'll show the front of Solange's machine again. If anyone has any knowledge they want to share on the Colormatic series, type it into the live chat. Anything you'd like to share. And then I'll share a little bit as well about this really cool development that Husqvarna Viking had. And it was built around taking care of their customers and making their customers' lives more easy and more carefree was really the whole idea behind this series. But let me look at the live chat real quick, say some quick greetings, and see if anyone shared any insights on this particular series of machines that Husqvarna came out with. Oh, thank you. I'm looking at what Emma just wrote. Solemn or dignified. And you know what? Over the phone, talking to Solange, has a dignified nature about her. She carries herself well. And I don't know what line of business she's in. She sounds too young on the phone to be retired, but maybe she is. But wherever she walks in her circles, those kind of people, someone walks into a room and right away you notice them. Right away you notice them, even before they speak, just the way they carry themselves. And I think I'm kind of guessing that's the way our owner is. I'm guessing the way our owner is. Oh, there's Solange right there. I just saw her pop up. Yeah, you better have coffee. It's going on 8 o'clock in the morning for you on the West Coast. All right, let me scroll up and say some good mornings, and then I'll zero in on this particular development that Husqvarna had with this series of machines, and we'll talk a little bit more about Solange's as well. So a good morning to Susie from Minnesota. She's always the first one in the classroom usually, and we also communicate a lot, off camera as well, and have had some conversations with Susie, sharing things with her, getting insights from her, and just deepening our friendship and appreciation for each other. Same thing is true of Emma and Candido and Bill and Michelle. We don't see her a lot, but and then also Veronica and all of the leadership team members. I love getting to know them on a personal level and just appreciating them more and the blessing that they are. So good morning to Susie. Good morning to Alex Alcas from the great state of California, just to the south of Solange. So if Alex wants to face north, Alex, face north right now. Face north. And Solange, you face south, and you guys can give each other a quick little wave. Give each other a quick little wave, because Alex is down in California and you're up in Oregon. So, hey, what's up? What's up? Yeah. All right. Good morning to Emma as well. Emma from the great state of Florida. Always great to have Emma here, a very dear friend. Had a chance to meet her. I've shared this before, and you're probably saying, you said this before, Scott, but I had a chance to meet her down in Florida and also meet some of her family members. What a beautiful group they are. What a beautiful group. All right. Also, good morning to Jenny as well. And Jenny, I believe was at the last live stream, shared with us that she's been on needles. And so I would like to, if the leaders approve, I would like to appoint Jenny our ambassador of needles. If anything comes up in the live streams relating to needles or needle questions, we can feel comfortable in defaulting to her and saying, Jenny, what do you think? What have you read? What have you found out? And that's the give and take of our live streams, isn't it? It's not one person. It's not a sewing savant in Oconto, Wisconsin, sharing my wisdom and knowledge with you. A little bit of that, but it's us exchanging information back and forth, isn't it? It's us learning together. It's us sharing the role of fellow teachers, fellow students. I think would be a great ambassador for questions relating to needles. And who knows, maybe eventually she will have an interest, if the leaders approve, of joining our leadership team as well. Because Jenny has been here very, very steady, very dedicated, very involved, engaged in the live chat. And I'll have to get feedback after this live stream from the leadership team members on what they think of Jenny possibly joining us as a moderator if she's interested. And I don't know if she is. I make it a habit of putting people on the spot, which is horrible. That's horrible. Dr. Singer is shaking his finger at me right now saying, what? Why are you doing that? But, I recognize people that are committed and passionate, and it could be said about a number of other folks in the live stream as well, Alex as well, and certainly others that are almost at every single live stream. And, let's start with ambassador for needles, since Jenny's been doing a lot of research on that, and then we'll see where things go. Let's just leave it at that. We'll see where things go. Oh my gosh, it is Tuesday, isn't it? Also, welcome to Gavin. I don't know that I've seen Gavin's name before. It's great to have you here, Gavin. And brand new, if you're brand new, welcome. Also, good morning to Candido as well. And someone just sent me a quick little text. Good morning to Candido as well from the great state of New York. I'm just checking in this text message real quick. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Susie. Susie just sent me a text that the owner was in the chat. I actually already greeted Solange, but thank you, Susie, for the heads up. I would be lost without Susie and Emma and other leadership team members, Candido, are regularly in the live chat. They are in steering me and keeping me on track. So I really appreciate them so much. Let's see. Also, good morning to, I already said hello to Emma. Already said hello to Alex from California. Good morning also to Suzanne Coulter. She was just in the workshop for that Japanese-made Lotus 1000. And we had a wonderful visit. She sent me a text afterwards. She said, it was so much fun being in the workshop. It was so much fun. And it was so much fun having Suzanne here as well. So, and also Suzanne left another machine behind. So eventually you might see that machine come up on the radar. If any of you have ever heard of the American Beauty, Suzanne left one of those behind. And eventually, once I get caught up a little bit, which may never happen, maybe not, I'll focus on that really cool American Beauty that Suzanne left behind. But again, thank you to Suzanne for giving us an opportunity to just be amazed by that little Mighty Mite, that Lotus 1000. Again, a machine that has bragging rights that no other machine that we've shown on this channel can claim, being inducted into the New York Museum of Fine Arts. I mean, how many machines? It's amazing. It's amazing. What a neat achievement for that particular machine. What a neat achievement. Yeah. Okay. All right. What else? Who else do we have? Looking. Still scrolling. Okay, I made it to the bottom finally. You guys are I'm going to be excited to look at the stats once because you're engaging each other a lot as a family. I love it as well. And we'll be able to how many chat messages went back and forth once we're done with the live stream today. I'm getting probably a good 300 plus is what we'll end up with, something like that. So, okay. So back to our machine that belongs to Solange from the great state, the great state of Oregon. What about this series of machines that Husqvarna Viking came out with? What about this series? Well, it started with this machine. It started with the Viking Husqvarna Model 2000. Does anyone know what year? What year did Husqvarna introduce their Colormatic series? And Colormatic, as I explained in one of the reels, they did it specifically to accommodate their customers and the novice sewist that can be intimidated by a sewing machine. So they said, we're going to make it really easy. You match the color of the 3 knobs and you stitch. That's it. There's a little bit more involved than that, but it's really pretty close to being that simple. Pretty close to being that simple with you match the same color on each of the 3 knobs and then you go after it. You know what I mean? So that was their intent. And I'll look at the live chat right now to see if anyone knows what year that was when they introduced this model. Also, so I can monitor. Oh, wait a second. I got one other chat message. Oh, that was from Susie. Never mind. I'm also going to open up my live stream on my little phone as well, so I can see if we're having any glitches or any problems with the video or the audio, just to make sure that we're good to go there. Because what I'm seeing on my laptop may be different than what you're seeing on your end. So hold on one second. All right, I'm putting my volume down. I'm skipping past my commercial. It's so annoying. I know it is. Hold on a second. There we go. Skip ad. There we go. Okay, now I have my phone opened up so I can monitor as well if we have any issues with audio or video. My live stream pre-test today on upload was really pretty solid compared to last week or whenever we did the last one on Saturday, I guess it was. So I think we'll be okay today. We should be okay. We've got a good upload speed. And if any of you are not technically oriented, all of the internet providers talk about download. Download is if you're opening up a web page or something like that, how quickly that page will load so you can look at it, right? Upload is what I need for live streaming. Upload is the opposite stream, pushing data up as we're live streaming through the platform of YouTube. So when I look at those numbers, I really don't care. I really don't care what the download is. I only care what the upload is. Okay. All right, let's see here. So I don't see, unless I missed it, I don't see anybody specifically responding to the question of when was this Colormatic series introduced? The answer is 1960. 1960 is when the Colormatic series was introduced through Viking Husqvarna. And if you're curious about the age of this machine that belongs to Solange, I've got my secret little list that Hans from Norway gave me. And right on the inside of the faceplate here is the serial number that starts with the letter T. Starts with the letter T, which tells me that Solange's Viking Husqvarna Model 2000 was made in the same year that I was born. This machine was made in the same year that I was born. So if anyone knows my birth year, you can type it into the live chat, and that's what year machine we're looking at today. And really is a fabulous wonder, isn't it? So I always love having a Model 2000 on the workbench because it was the very first in this series. Lots of other Colormatic machines followed with a variety of different cams. This machine takes cams, and these are different cams for other Colormatic models that came out over the course of them making it. And they're all a little bit different. They're all a little bit different. Also, some of them will have 3 mounting posts on the bottom. Others will have 2. Others will have 1. And so you've got to know your machine a little bit if you're going to order cams. Let's say you're on eBay or Etsy or Pinterest or something like that. If you're going to be on one of those selling platforms and you're looking at cams, you just can't look at the pattern on the front of it and say, yeah, that matches my stitch plate, so it should work fine. The problem you might run into is that your cam stack in the back of your machine might only have 1 mounting post, or it might have 4. And so you got to look at both sides of that cam and make sure that it's going to work for you in mounting it to your machine. Also, the different mounting points have different widths. Some of them are real skinny because at one point during the Colormatic production on the cam stacks, they made much smaller mounting holes on the cam stack. And so they made their little connecting points smaller as well. And what happens with those is they tend to shift and pivot in the machine a little bit, and you can have stitch output issues. So the only cam that came with this machine from Oregon, from Solange, was cam A. But I did pick out some other cams that might work, and we might try that during the live stream today. I have, let's see, this is interesting. I'll just share this with you real quick as we're looking at these cams here. These are all going to be for different Colormatic machines. So I'm doing some of the testing with some of my extra cams over here, just to see if I can show you some of the other stitch patterns on other cams that would work with Solange's machine. Because we have cam group A, cam group B, cam group C, and cam group D. I couldn't find in my stuff any cam Bs, unfortunately. And those are some of the really cool stitches. Until I found this one, and I thought, yeah, awesome. I've got a cam B. And then I put it into Solange's machine, and I didn't get cam B stitch patterns. I got cam D stitch patterns. And it dawned on me that either at the factory in Sweden, someone mistakenly, because they assemble these as 2 parts. This top part right here is a little metal plate with the stitch pattern pictures on it. And then the bottom part is a resin composite with little braille type bumps on it that the machine reads to generate the stitches. So they're 2 separate sections. Really 3, I guess. 3, because you've got the black base, you've got the plastic center right through here, and then you've got the metal cap on top right here. So someone ended up putting a cam B cover on a cam D. So we're going to possibly try what looks like a cam B today, but it's actually a cam D. So I'll have to see if I have an extra lid in my stuff, and I'll pop this one off and then mark it appropriately as a cam D. Otherwise, someone else that puts it in their machine is going to be like, something's not working right. But again, the top is just decorative and a means of identifying the stitches. The bottom is what really matters, where those little braille bumps are that the machine reads in order to generate the stitches. So at any rate, the long and short of what I just tried to share is that we might end up using a cam B to generate cam D stitches today. We might. And then I also have a cam C. These are some cool stitch patterns as well. We might end up popping this one in. And the cam stack on Solange's machine, I didn't show you the bottom of it, is a single post mounting. So when you slide cams into Solange's machine, you've got to have a cam that has only a single post mounting. And then there's another finger that comes in and holds the cam right in the middle to keep it stable and to slide it back and forth as you change the stitch pattern selection. So 1 post is okay, but they made, like I said, 2-post, 3-post, and even 4-post cams. So again, just make sure you know what you're getting if you order them online. All right, let's see here. Let's see if I can show you another example. Here's a 3-post. This one would work in Solange's machine. This is an actual Cam D. This would work in Solange's machine, but to get it to work, we've got 3 posts. You can see that, I think, on there. We've got 3 posts, and we would have to take a pair of pliers or needle nose pliers, and we would have to break 2 of these off in order to fit it into her cam stack on this machine, because it's a single post mounter. You can see the difference straight away. And some of them were made single post. Other people, because any of the Colormatic cams potentially can be used in another Colormatic machine. As people acquire cams, they sometimes, if they have a single mounting post type cam stack, they'll break the extra little posts off so that they can use it in their machine. It's easier to break them off than to put them on, right? So, at any rate. So we'll probably we'll use Cam A for sure, which is the one that came with the machine, and then we'll look and see how we're doing on time, and we might jump into Cam B, which is actually Cam D, and then Cam C as well. So all right. So 1960 was the beginning of this for Husqvarna, and again the operation of these machines was designed to be very user friendly. Down on the bottom here, we've got feed dog drop. I'll kind of start on this area just above the royal crest. And I can see that light above there. I might have to cut that light off again. Hold on a second. We're going to get a little bit of glare, I think. There we go. Shut off that big LED light just above the workbench, and then hopefully we can see this a little bit better. So just above this royal crest, and if you don't know the history behind the Husqvarna Viking sewing machine company, they were established originally by a king's decree in the 1600s as a drilling and grinding plant for making musket barrels. It wasn't until 1872 that they produced their first sewing machine, the Northern Star. And I highlighted that in one of the recent live streams when I was presenting that Montgomery Ward, because Montgomery Ward sewing machines were also established in 1872 as well. So that's the whole deal on the Royal Crest. Then again, we have feed dog drop here. You push it in and down to lock it in with the feed dogs down for free motion quilting, freehand embroidery. This right here is our stitch width controller. You just turn it anywhere in the range. There will be a rainbow setting, as I call it, for a number of the stitches. And you can kind of see that right there, where we've got green, red, yellow, and blue all combined. And then there are variants of that for some of the other colors like purple and forget the other color. Let me see. Maybe green, purple. Yeah, just on the stitch width, it's only going to be purple is the only variant on the stitch width. The other thing that you can do with this knob, which I will not do, you already know this, is you can also pull it out. And when you pull it out, you can click through the stages to do a buttonhole. But a lot of people don't even know on their Swedish Beauties, and this is true of all the Colormatics that I've had in the workshop. Every single Colormatic is going to have that auto buttonhole function hidden in their stitch width controller. It's not apparent. It's not labeled unless you read the book. And so a lot of people never even know that it's there. But again, you just grab the knob, you pull it out, and you do stage 1, click it, stage 2, click it, stage 3, click it. And I believe there might be a stage 4 as well. But again, I don't do buttonholes. So unlike Jenny, who is our needle ambassador, I am definitely not your buttonhole ambassador. We'll find somebody else to do that. Okay. So, and also as you look at the stitch width controller, there is a specific setting for buttonholes way over here, right in the same area as 0 when you're doing a straight stitch. You can see the little buttonhole symbol right there. Yeah. Up here, we've got our stitch length, and we've got a wide range on the Swedish Beauties. Generally, it's going to be between 5 and 30 stitches per inch. So we can do almost basting stitches, not quite, but we can do very large stitching with this because of that 5 factor, compared to most Singer machines and Pfaff machines that will be more in the range of 6 to 30 stitches per inch. Then we also have reverse on this Model 2000. Unlike the recent E-Series Swedish Beauty that I showed you, this is a single stage reverse. So if you want to sew in reverse when you're straight stitching, you have to hold it in. You can't just hold it in, push it down, and then it locks in place. Again, that's going to be indicative of the 19E, the 21E type models that Husqvarna came out with. Across here, we've got our basically our stitch plate. And if any of you saw the reels on Facebook that I did, you'll see that I had to do some restoration on this. These stitch plates have multiple layers on them. They have the original patterns that are printed on the plastic, and then over that they have a clear coat, and then over that they have a colorized type background, and then over that they've got a black, almost a tarry substance that seals it all in. And so when you're trying to restore one of these plates, it's a very technical process, very time-consuming process. As my friend Dusty from now from California, I almost said from Colorado because he was from Colorado before. As my friend Dusty said, from California now, he said, Scott, you're a wizard, because it really is tedious work to restore a plate like this. And it's not absolutely perfect, but it's pretty doggone good when you're talking about the meticulous nature of combining all of those different layers properly. Over here, we've got our stitch selector, and it's going to give us the opportunity to go between the different pattern options depending on the cam that's in the back of the machine. What else? Oh, also, it gives us an opportunity to also move to a 3-point zigzag, or a zigzag, or a straight stitch as well, if we adjust it like that. What else? Upper tension. And again, this upper tension is going to have that little slider underneath the edge of it. I don't know if I can show it to you or not. It's a little plastic tab, and that little plastic tab is going to allow you to determine how much swing you want from your check spring. The check spring is this little gadget right here that acts as part of the tightening process for that lock stitch as you're sewing. It's going to be moving up and down like this in the sewing process. And as it's moving up and down, it can travel a certain distance depending on where you have this little tab set. If you have that tab all the way to the left, like I do right now, that check spring or that take-up spring is going to have a full range of motion. If you move it all the way to the right, then it's going to have a very limited range of motion, and you would use that for lighter materials and also more delicate threads. If you're working with some of those really fragile threads that break easily, you don't want this take-up spring going full range of motion like this. You want it down in this region going like this, if that makes sense. So that's what that whole little tab thing is about right there, okay? What else? We'll cover threading on this machine. And also, I'll point out that unlike some of the later model Colormatics, where they first of all wanted to start with making their consumers happy with making it easy to use. So they developed the Colormatic series, match the colors, and you're good to go. Then they also made additional changes to the machine series over time, going into the 1970s and even into the early 1980s, where they ended up taking away these oiling points across the top of the machine, telling the customers that the machine was maintenance free. which isn't true at all. It's simply not true. This is your main shaft that comes off of that pitman arm, and this main shaft needs lubrication all the time. And so I think that that was a little bit of a marketing scam on Husqvarna's part in taking away the oiling points on some of the Colormatic series machines. So coming off of the spool, and you can see I'm back to my good old fashioned dual duty XP thread from Joann's. This weekend, if you're out and about, stop by your Joann's. They probably have thread sales going on. If you don't like Coates and Clark for whatever reason, they have Gutermann and other threads on sale as well. Generally, you buy 3 and you get 2 free. So if you like saving money like I do, go by Joann's this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and you can get 3 spools like this, and they throw 2 in the bag, no charge, which is really cool. Come across from here, like this, to this thread guide, through this thread guide, through the tensioner like this, around this way, right to left. And again, always make sure your pressure foot lever is in the up position. Where's it? There it is, somewhere. Make sure your pressure foot lever is in the up position when you thread any sewing machine. If you somehow mistakenly have that pressure foot lever down, it's going to be pressing those discs together, and you're not going to get that thread in there properly, and you're going to have some bird nesting going on the bottom of whatever material you're sewing. So always make sure your pressure foot lever is up. Draw that thread deep into those discs. It doesn't matter on an upper tension like this whether you go through the discs in the front or the back. And you've got 2 sets of discs here because you can do twin needle sewing with this Swedish beauty. You can put 1 thread in the front 2 discs and the other thread behind in the other 2 discs, and then you can do twin needle sewing with this machine. So after you come around the bottom of this, you're then going to come around and go right into that check spring area that you can see it right there. And then you go underneath this thread guide. You come up to your take-up arm, go from right to left, come back down. There's another thread guide right there. Let me shut my light off real quick. There's a thread guide right there. And then there's another thread guide just above the needle right here. You don't want to miss that one either. And then you finally thread this machine from front to back, which means if you are going to thread this from front to back, let me ask you in the live chat to type, where do you think the flat side is? And the second part of the question is, where's the scarf? Where's the scarf and where's the flat side if we're threading this needle from front to back? And that's important to know. It's really important to know so that you can appreciate how your machine is interacting with that thread in the sewing process, right? Yeah. What else? Oh, obviously our light, you just pull it down. I gave Solange a new LED light. LED light is going to get little or no heat, and it's going to produce about 4 to 5 times more light for her operating space down here on the bed and the needle area. Really lights it up nicely. I just shut it off so that it doesn't mess with the camera. So, all right, let's see what y'all are saying. Hold on real quick. I'm going to set the camera down. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, both in the back. And I agree with Alex. If the roofers are professional, and Emma is getting her roof redone today. One of the hurricanes that went through Florida damaged her roof pretty badly. And I agree with Alex. Charge them. Put out a little jar. Put a little jar right on the porch, and they have to drop in $1 before they knock on the door or ring the doorbell to ask a question. We could make some money on this, Emma. We could really make some money. So, and because it was Alex's and my idea, maybe we can do like a 33 split or something like that. 33. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Okay. So yeah, you're both right. The folks that typed in, that the scarf is going to be in the back. The flat side is in the back. The flat side and the scarf are always going to be on the same side. For those of you that don't know needle anatomy, for those of you needle anatomy, the scarf is that indentation just above the eye of the needle. It looks like a cut into the needle itself. It's a little notch, and different needles will have different depths. The deepness of that notch or that scarf will differ from needle to needle. For example, on a universal needle like the one we're using today, this universal needle right here. There it is. On this universal needle right here, this 9014, it's going to have a medium level depth scarf. It's going to be medium depth. Now, if we were to be sewing a bunch of this nasty spandex type denim, this stuff right here, if we were going to be sewing a bunch of this spandex denim, we would want to look at using a stretch needle, and a stretch needle is going to have even a deeper scarf on it than a universal needle. That deeper scarf is going to allow that hook to get even closer to try to grab that thread more successfully, as that ballpoint type point is separating that material to get it out of the way so that you have fewer skip stitches. And that really is the big deal about needle anatomy. The point and the scarf are going to be significantly impacting the outcome you get as you change through a wide field of materials. So if you're sewing knits and other stretchy stuff like that, or some of this nasty stuff, a stretch needle will get you even further than a universal, even though a universal has a semi ballpoint on it. It's not a serrated end like a leather needle. It's going to be slightly rounded, but you really need that rounded end, dramatically rounded end, to separate those so that you can reduce the skip stitching. And that's really what we were struggling with in the last live stream with that Lotus 1000, is we were using a universal needle against this stuff, 6 layers of it. Can you imagine? 1 layer of it is enough of a challenge with this stretchy spandex. You take that times 6, we could have really benefited from a stretch needle type design. It would have served us much better. And I believe it was our ambassador for needles that had suggested that maybe during the live stream, is maybe a stretch needle. Other people online will say a denim needle can also get you a little bit further down the road with some of these stretchy materials. But at any rate, ultimately, any machine is going to reach its limit when you're talking about some of the more complex, multi-layered type materials. So that's just the reality. Okay. So yeah, the scarf is really important. And that's what allows that hook to get closer and draw that thread in. Okay. So inside of the faceplate area, let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about the inside of the faceplate. You just open it up like this, and right inside of the faceplate, you can see there's a lot of service points in Solange's machine. Don't forget to service whatever machine you have, whether it's a Swedish Beauty, a Singer, a Husqvarna, an Elna, an Elgin, an American Beauty. It doesn't matter. Always make sure you take time to get into that faceplate area. Some are not going to be as convenient as just popping it open. Some of them you'll have to lower down a little flange that kind of holds it in place. Some you'll have to take out a bolt, like on the Lotus 1000. I showed that to Suzanne when she was in the workshop as far as servicing that area. They're all going to differ a little bit, aren't they? But it's worth the effort, because this is your needle bar. This is your presser foot bar. These are the mechanics that are driving your machine coming off of that main shaft, and you want them to be moving with great fluidity with no restrictions. But also inside of here, we have presser foot control as well. We've seen in a lot of the live streams how critical presser foot pressure is. As you go to the heavier materials, you increase it. As you go to the lighter materials, you decrease it. If you need to cheat and you need to get something really thick underneath the presser foot, and your range clearance isn't enough, and on this model 2000, there's no hyperextension. In other words, when I push that presser foot lever up, I can't go any higher than that. On a lot of the presser foot levers, you can go 3 to 4 millimeters higher by just pushing a little bit higher out of its normal range. This machine doesn't have that, but it does have a quick release right here that you can push in, and then it releases all the pressure so you can manually raise and lower that presser foot pressure. And you just go like this, you push on it, listen, and this drop down, you might have seen this drop down. And now if I want to adjust to get something really thick underneath there, even though I've got a lot of clearance already, I can grab that presser foot and I can raise it like this. And that means if I got a real thick quilt or I'm doing multiple layers of whatever, and if this isn't enough clearance, I can give a little bit of a cheater's method to get more clearance in there. And I believe it was Alex at one of the live streams had said, hey, we can also, if we don't need quite as much clearance, we can also drop the feed dogs temporarily, which is absolutely spot on. You can also drop the feed dogs to get even more clearance. But this generally, these Swedish beauties probably have about 4 millimeters of clearance underneath the presser foot between the feed dogs. And that's generally going to get the job done. But if it doesn't, you can always do this. And then you can gain about another 7 or 8 millimeters. 7 or 8 millimeters. Just huge. Let me show you from the side. That's our normal clearance right there. And if I raise it, that's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy how you can gain that extra experience. And I've gotten a lot of good feedback from people all around that have said, I never thought to do that. I didn't know I could do that. But that was, that was really part of the design in allowing that quick release so that you could get even added clearance underneath the presser foot to fit something really thick in there. And then when you want to re-engage it, you just put your thumb on the bottom of here, your finger on the top of here, and you pinch them together, and then it's re-engaged again. Okay? But you have to make sure this is in the up position. Otherwise, you're not going to have any presser foot pressure, and you're going to have a big mess on your hands, aren't you? You're going to have a big mess. As far as the construction of the machine, some of you might be wondering about the construction of this model 2000. Again, SOLANGE'S is from 1964, my birth year. This series was introduced 4 years earlier in 1960. This is an all-metal machine. All metal. I mean, metal, metal, metal. But it's not metal, 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 because it also is non-ferrous on certain areas. It's going to be metal right here. This is part of our, this is part of our non-ferrous area. This is a metal, probably going to be an aluminum. Oops, wrong way. It's probably going to be an aluminum or something like that. We don't get a reaction from the magnet there, but we do here. So it's a combination of metals, some of which are ferrous, some of which are non-ferrous, and really made well. Even the side plates on this machine that cover the bobbin winding assembly and the motor assembly as well, where a lot of the earlier versions from the 1940s and the Class 20 series, 1950s, the Class 21 series, those green machines that we see all the time on this channel, those are going to have plastic covers covering the motor, covering the bobbin winding assembly. They get broken all the time. You're not going to have that issue with this machine from 1964 because even the covers are metal as well. I'm just going to double check. Yeah, they're metal, but they're not a ferrous metal, so you're not going to get a magnetic response. Okay, what else? Did I miss anything else? Oh, yeah. Here's our bobbin down here in a raceway. And you can see there's basically 3 bolts, 1, 2, and then one kind of up here as well. Periodically, you're going to want to take these 3 little bolts out. You're going to want to take these 3 bolts out. It's really kind of dark in there, isn't it? Hold on a second. Does that help? I think that helps a little bit, doesn't it? There we go. My little light. So you're going to take these 3 bolts out and take this cover out, obviously removing the bobbin case first. And then you'll take that hook out and do a thorough cleaning of your hook, do a thorough cleaning of the raceway area as well. The Swedish people will tell you that this does not require lubrication in here because it's a jam-free raceway. I disagree. And I would recommend about depending on what you're sewing with, about every 4 to 6 hours of sewing, just putting a single drop of oil with the bobbin case out. And then with the bobbin case out, the machine unthreaded, put a single drop of oil in there, and then just start your machine up so that it distributes that oil evenly in the raceway. And again, just use a Q-tip swab periodically to clean that out, because that's gonna collect a lot of debris and also pull a bunch of debris into there as well. And it can get dirty really, really quick. There is another mounting plate behind that, but be careful about taking that mounting plate off that's behind the hook system, because if you put it back on in the wrong place, you're going to throw off the timing of your machine, because everything mounts on that plate. And if it's timed correctly and then you put it back on differently, all of a sudden your machine will not be sewing well. So just be real careful depending on how deep you want to go into cleaning that area of the machine. Okay. When you're setting this bobbin up, you're going to hold the bobbin case in your left hand. Just visualize yourself holding it in your left hand, holding the bobbin in your right hand with the thread coming underneath, And then as you put it in, go ahead and, thread it up accordingly, and make sure you've got, an adequate amount of tension on that bobbin case, about 3 to 4 ounces of resistance. It shouldn't be like you're pulling a car. It should just feel like a light drag on there. And that again is going to control what? Your top stitch or your lock stitch as far as the bobbin case? Does the bobbin case control your lock stitch or your top stitch as far as it being involved with the tension game, that tug of war? Tell me what you think. All right. What else? I think that's about it. That's all I wanted to really cover on the machine. Let's see here. Yeah, exactly right. Challenge when you're adjusting that tension, isn't it? Trying to get that knot centered right in the middle as closely as possible. Okay. So let's actually put this machine to work. And I normally will start with a straight stitch or a zigzag or something more utility. I think we're going to launch right into some of the decorative sewing that this 1964 class, class 2000, if you will, can do. And again, we've got Cam A in the back right now that came with the machine. So let's jump into some of that. Let me see if I can find some material to sew on. Let's see here. Kind of show you what I have. So I've got that index denim. I've got some regular denim. I've got some saddle grade leather. And this will be probably for our straight stitching or a zigzag. We'll go ahead and put these back to back, and then we'll lay down some heavy duty stitching with this machine as well. So I'll set those to the side just for now. Also have some protected full grain leather, and that'll be for a straight or a zigzag stitching as well. Again, some nice heavy sewing to show that the Swedish beauties aren't just pretty and sexy. They're also very, very strong as well. Does anyone know, speaking of strength, does anyone know what size motor this 1964 Viking 2000 has? What size motor does this machine come with? Does anyone know? And I've got some bigger protected full grain leather. Got some of this velvet ribbon material, more protected full grain leather. Small little piece of spandex denim. Saddle grade leather, and then some bubblegum material. So a pretty wide array of materials that we're going to be potentially sewing today. Look at the, I didn't look at the live chat for a bit. Hold on a second. So Alex from California said, what about a 0.75, which 0.75 would be the same size motor as that loaded 1000 that belongs to Suzanne that we just watched. This is going to have about 0.25 amps more 25 tenths of an amp, I think that would be, or something like that, more than that Lotus 1000. So we're looking at a 1 amp motor on this machine, a 1 amp motor. There are other Swedish beauties that have a 1.5, and there are some of the E series machines that go both ways, like some of the 21Es and 19Es. They made them with both size motors. I've said this before. Once I get done optimizing a motor, like you saw in that reel on Facebook, that motor is going to be able to run neck and neck with any 1.5 amp motor. It's not going to be a problem. It's going to be supercharged and be able to get the job done easily. So yeah, 1 amp motor in Solange's 1964 Viking 2000. All right, let's see if there's anyone else I can say hey to. Yeah, I don't see anybody else in the. If there's anyone else that joined and is in the live chat, and I didn't say good morning to you yet, I know the leaders did. I know the leaders already said good morning, so hopefully you feel well. But I'll also extend a good morning to you as well. Great to have you here. All right, so let's get busy on this. I've got to raise my chair back up. I feel like I'm in the principal's office. There we go. So let's see what we can do with Cam A to start. Let's see what we can do with Cam A. And why don't we start on some leather? Even though we don't have a leather needle, in this machine, we can still sew leather with a universal needle. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this down just a little bit so I don't have this huge piece. Oh, and that reminds me, just cutting that material. Susie and maybe it was Susie and Bill from Minnesota. I don't remember. Susie can remind us in the live chat. But at the last live stream, I was proposing giving away another brand new pair of these Guggenheim professional tailoring scissors, and I had proposed reading all of the reviews that have been on a Cow Country, and everyone provided some honest feedback. Again, families can be honest, right? Family provided honest feedback and said, you know what, reading them is cool, but by the time you get to number 15, I don't remember what number 1 and number 2 was, or number 3 or number 4. So what Susie and I think Bill or whoever else, I don't recall, Susie can tell us, but had said, why don't we just invite people during the live stream to go to that page and to give a thumbs up to the one that they like best. And then we can scroll down and we can see which one that hasn't won before, because if you already won, like Suzanne Coulter in the live chat has already won. I believe Emma already won a pair as well. If you already won a pair of these scissors, you can't win a second pair. So don't try to go down that road. We're watching. But if you want to go there and Susie can put a link where that is, then you can give a thumbs up to the one that you like best. And then either Susie or Emma or Candido can look at those, count them up, and whichever one gets the most thumbs up will win that pair of Guggenheim professional tailoring scissors. And they come in if you've never seen them before, they come in a beautiful box, even if you don't sew. If you don't sew, but you know someone that sews, holy mackerel, you want to talk about a stocking stuffer or a birthday gift or a whatever gift. They will love you to death. And these have a lifetime warranty too. So I'll leave it up to Susie, Candido, and Emma. I don't think Christine from Canada is here today, but whatever leaders are here, they can steer that process. And I'll just say by the end of the live stream, if one of them would give me a reminder, we'll count up the number of thumbs up at the end of the live stream today. Whoever has the most thumbs up will win this next pair of Guggenheim scissors. And I mean, I think these are fantastic. Suzanne uses hers all the time. She said she loves them. I don't think I got mine off to Emma yet. I've got to still mail them out. I've been kind of lax, too busy, but they're great scissors. And that's how we'll give them away during the live stream. So you can call your family, you can call your friends, you can call your buddies at work, you can call the neighbors, call whoever you want to call and say, go to this link, look for my post that I did on Scott's, on the cow country thing, and click and like it, would you? Because then by the end of the live stream, you'll have like a bazillion likes and you'll be a shoe in to win a set of these professional tailoring scissors. Okay. So I'm going to turn it over to Susie and Emma and Candido at this point. If Christine is here, over to Christine. They can manage this contest today. It's their contest now. And at the end of it, one of them can shoot me a reminder. We'll identify who the winner is and we'll give these away. Yeah, there we go. And a great idea, again, not my idea, to streamline this and make it more easy. It was Susie and I believe Bill's idea, and whoever else Susie says. I don't remember who else was involved in that, but it's a brilliant idea. It's a brilliant idea. So that's how we'll handle it. Yeah. Okay, so let's do some of this protected full grain leather. Let's see what we can do with Cam A. And I'm deciding if I want to sew it like this or if I want to sew it like this. I think we'll do it longer because we only have Cam A in there right now. And I can always cut that other piece and do that way too. So, all right, presser foot is down. And again, I'm sewing leather. Oh, I didn't show you. It does have an extension bed. It does have an extension bed, but I'm not using it because then I can get closer with the camera to the action. You know what I mean? We want to get closer to the action. And to set it up to do this first stitch, what I've done is I've taken the stitch width control and I've set it on the rainbow setting. You can see that right there, the number 4. And then it's got green, red, yellow, blue. And then I've set this because some of these stitches are going to be a tri-motion stitch. I've set it on the longest stitch length to give that machine more space to work. And then finally, I've set the stitch selector on the yellow stitch, which means we should get a stitch representative of that right there. You can see that in the shot. So we're going to try to do that yellow stitch first. It's the most complex that's built into Cam A. So we're starting with the most difficult one, and then we'll go through some of the other ones as well through Cam A. And like I said, if we have time, we might launch into checking out that Cam B that's actually a Cam D in disguise. And then we might also try Cam C as well, because there's so many beautiful stitch patterns with this machine. And I can check with Solange before this machine is shipped back to Oregon. And if she doesn't have the cams, I don't know if she does or does not, I can supply her with the cams that we use in the live stream. And that way she'll have a wider selection of decorative stitch patterns to choose from. So, okay. All right, so let's do this. Let's try this out and see what we think. And always launch with your take-up arm in the highest position. You get a nice clean launch. Aim this down like this, and let's give this a go. All right, here we go. That takes a long time because of the complexity. And that's why I want to start with that stitch. That particular stitch is ridiculously complex. When you look at it, you're going to say, oh, yeah, I see it now. Incredibly complex stitch. One of the most complex stitches that I've ever sewn with, or I should say that I've ever sewn. And I'm sure that in the book there's a real name for this stitch, but if you want to make up your own name, that's up to you. That's up to you. But this is what we just sewed on SOLANGE'S 1964 Swedish Beauty. There it is. And again, we're sewing on protected full grain leather with a universal 9014 needle. We're not sewing with a leather needle. We could, but we're not. See the thickness of that from the side. Probably about 3 to 4 ounces of leather. That's thick leather, folks. It's definitely not garment leather, that's for sure. Look at it like this too. Beautiful stitching. Wow, beautiful stitching. Lock stitching. Also beautiful lock stitching as well. So we've got a really good balance on tension right now, don't we? That bobbin case and that upper tension are working together. They're working together very, very nicely. Again, look at the thickness. So can a sexy and gorgeous Swedish beauty, can it sew leather? Serious leather, not garment leather. Yes, it can. Absolutely. And it can lay down not only a straight or a zigzag or a utility stitch, but it can lay down a gorgeous decorative ornamental stitch like this through almost 4 ounces of leather. Really quite amazing, isn't it? Quite lovely. Quite lovely. I feel inspired to cut that edge straight so that we're not looking sideways. And I'll use my Guggenheims to do that. And it's literally cutting it like butter. That's why you want to try to win a set of the Guggenheim scissors. Okay, so what should we do next? What should we do on cam A next? Let's see what we can get. Let's see what we can sew next with cam A. And you see where my take-up arm is right now. We kind of ended with it down. I'm going to go ahead and raise it up right away so I'm all set. All set for this next stitch off. So we could do a red stitch now. You can see our stitch option. We did the yellow one right there. We've got the red one, we've got the blue one, we've got the purple one, which is kind of a blind hem stitch. Try to get real close so you can kind of see it. So I think I'll do the red one next. We'll do the red one next just for fun. We'll check that one out. So the way I change to red is I take my stitch selector and I go from yellow to red. And again, make sure you, when you turn any of these knobs, that your needle is clear of the material. Otherwise, you can bend that needle. Always make sure your needle is clear of the material before you move from one pattern to another. Then I have to adjust my stitch length to red as well, right? Got to go to red on the stitch length. And it looks like we have a little bit of a range in the stitch length. You know, it's kind of between these two markers. So if we go towards the top end, right there, where that dot is, it's going to be shorter. If you go this way, it's going to be a little bit longer. So I think we'll go right in the middle. And then we have to make sure our stitch width selector is also on red. And that's part of the rainbow series. Remember, the rainbow series gives you red, it gives you green, it gives you yellow, it gives you blue. So there it is. I was aimed the wrong way. Sorry about that. You see it now, I think. So our stitch width is on red. Our stitch length is on red. And our stitch selector is on red. So let's see if we do this next stitch now on cam A. And I'll try to bring the camera down again to give you a kind of a bird's eye view. All right, here we go. This is our red stitch. Not sure what the name for this one is either. It's a pretty little stitch though. I like it. See that when I'm trying to hold the camera, and also guide the material, I don't do it absolutely straight. So just turn your head to the side. Turn your head to the side a little bit if it looks crooked to you. Okay? All right. Let's take a look at these now. Actually, it would look cooler this way, wouldn't it? Let's go this way. Even this stitch, look at the complexity of that stitch, what the needle and the feed dogs need to do to accomplish that. Beautiful stitching. Look at the lock stitching. I haven't said it yet in the live stream, but I bet you some of you have done it in the live chat. This is definitely page 34, if not page 34 plus stitching. That is amazing balance right now in that tension between the upper and the bottom stitch, the lock stitch. Again, sewing through protected full grain leather and using a non-leather needle. This universal needle by Schmetz is a secret weapon. It truly is. I had a private conversation with one of the Schmetz representatives, and I said, I put all the work into the machine with workshop magic, but my secret weapon is your needle. My secret weapon is your needle. Yep, beautiful stitching. Again, not a thin leather. Not a thin leather at all. And if you don't know anything about protected full grain leather, why do they call it protected? It's because there's a special coating, a special surface coating that they put on the leather to protect it from staining and to make it a little bit more durable. And this particular leather, I think I shared this in other live streams. I get it as a scrap piece, basically a bag of scraps from a company that sews the seats for the luxury Lear jets. So all of the rich people, all of the real rich people that fly on those private jets, they put their bottoms on this leather all the time, back and forth. So you can imagine how durable this stuff is and how strong it is. which means the piercing threshold on this stuff is not light at all. It's not easy to get through it. This is serious leather, very serious leather. Yeah, let's do the next one. Nice, nice sew-offs, very nice. Solange from Oregon has a sweetheart of a machine here, doesn't she? Sweetheart of a machine. All right, let's see what we have next. So we've done the red one, we've done the yellow one, we've done red, we've done yellow. Now we have purple and blue. And the blue one is usually a favorite of a lot of people. I bet you it's especially going to be a favorite of Susie from Minnesota. Again, Susie from Minnesota, that's in the live chat right now, part of my leadership team, is a master gardener. And the blue stitch on the far right for Cam A looks like it has a floral design to it, doesn't it? It does to me anyway. So I think we'll do the floral one next in Susie's honor. Of course, Emma loves gardening down in Florida too. So we'll do it in Susie's honor. We'll do it in everybody's honor that loves gardening, loves getting their nails dirt digging into the earth. Yeah. This is for all of our gardeners. Okay, so before I move over there, I should show you how to set that up. We got to go to the blue stitch now, right? The blue stitch. So we take our adjuster, our stitch selector, and we got to turn it back. Again, making sure your needle is clear of the material. Now we're on blue. Now we've got to take our stitch length selector for stitch length, and we got to find where blue is on that. Did I go the right way? Yes, I did. So now we're going to move this into the blue region as well. And again, we've got a little bit of discretion. We've got a little bit of discretion, but with any of these stitches that are going to require tri-motion, the feed dogs are manipulating the material, we want to make the stitch a little bit longer to accommodate that tri-motion of the feed dogs. So I'm going to go towards the higher end of close to 4, which is our longest stitch length. And then down here on the stitch width, I don't have to do a thing because we're already on the rainbow setting, and that includes blue. So now we're going to do blue stitch and see what we think of that one. Again, we're sewing with a 1964 Viking 2000, first introduced in 1960 with a 1-amp motor. Our setup is Coates & Clark dual duty XP thread, and we're sewing with a 9014 universal Schmetz needle. All right, so let's get our take-up arm all the way up, and we'll see what we think of this floral pattern now. See what we think of this floral pattern. Check my camera angle, see if I'm relatively straight, hopefully. All right, get the camera nice and still. There we go. All right, and again, if I sew crooked, I'm trying to steer with the camera and also steer the material, so give me grace, give me grace. Here we go. Okay, let's check this one out now. And again, we've got some discretion on stitch length. So if you wanted to tighten this pattern up more, you would just take your stitch length controller. Let me set that right there for a second. You would just take your stitch length controller. I went on the higher end over here, closer to the 4. You would just adjust it back within that same range like this. And then you could tighten that pattern up even more. We were over here. You might decide to go over there. And that's totally up to you. It's totally up to you. Okay. So I've mentioned it before that the servicing you get at the workshop compared to going to a sew and vac or someplace like that is very different. They spend about 40 minutes, 45 minutes on your machine. They might tell you they spend longer, but they really don't. I've got a number of friends that run sew and vacs across the country, and they're very honest about that because of their overhead. They're very honest about their overhead, and so they can only spend so much time, right, and still make a profit. With me, I have less overhead, so I'm able to spend on a machine like this about 14 hours. 14 hours to get it right. The camera is thinking about focusing any second now. Let's go like this. There we go. It's a pretty little pattern, isn't it? Looks like a little heart. Like a little heart, doesn't it? We could call that the sweetheart stitch, couldn't we? We could call that the sweetheart stitch. And our lock stitch. And look at the way the nap, when you're dealing with a stitch like this that has a long profile to it, it's got a very long profile where it's moving that stitch and kind of elongating it. You almost lose the entire lock stitch in that nap, don't you? Where it's more concentrated, it pops through. But on here, even if I pull it back, there it is. You can see a little bit of it there. It, get, it gets, again, you're talking about real leather here. It kind of gets lost in the shuffle, doesn't it? It kind of gets lost in the shuffle, but it really is quite a spectacular stitch pattern. Again, Cam A on this model 2000. Really quite nice, isn't it? Quite lovely. So we have one stitch left on Cam A, and that is what I would refer to as a blind hem stitch. It might be a stretch blind hem, but it's going to be a blind hem nonetheless. So we'll do that one last. And to do that, we have to set it to the purple setting. At least I think that's purple. You guys know me, I'm not really good with colors. So I'll show you the color again, and you can tell me if you think it's purple. I've got my flashlight here somewhere. Maybe a flashlight would help. That doesn't help at all. The flashlight is like, let's not do that. Let's not do the flashlight. There it is. So anyway, if that's purple, it's purple. I have no idea. All right, so now we're going to adjust our stitch selector to the purple setting so we can get that final stitch on Cam A. Let's go this way. Yellow, red, and then we have a combo setting right here on our stitch selector that shares with purple and green. Purple and green. I think you can see that. Yep. And then finally, we have to look at our stitch length. We've got a stitch length on purple as well. And again, we have a little bit of a range in the purple, don't we? We've got a little bit of a range closer to the longer side would be over here. That would be give us a little bit of a longer pattern. Over here would give us a little bit of a shorter pattern closer to the 2. So I think we're going to shorten it up a little bit. We'll be right here next to the 2, where you might, if you were sitting in front of the machine right now, you might decide to move it over there. And that's fine. You know, whatever stitch outcome you get is the one that you were aiming for, and it's perfect, isn't it? It's perfect. So I'm going to do mine over here. And then we've got to look for purple now down here on the stitch width selector, because we don't have purple as part of our rainbow. We only have green, red, yellow, blue. So we have to look for purple now on our stitch width selector. And there it is coming up right there. And again, on the purple, we've got a little bit of a choice, a little bit of discretion. We can go on the longer side over here, closer to the 2, or we can shorten that stitch pattern up and we can go closer to this over here. See that? You've got a little bit of a range you can work with, a little bit of a range. So since we're doing a blind hem type stitch, I want to give it a little bit more space to work with. So I'm going to make it just a little bit wider, just a little bit wider, closer to the 2. That's it. Let's see if we can do this blind hem now. And then we can look at all of cam A on this protected full grain leather. Okay. I'm going to try that. This is with the light on, light off. It's almost the same, isn't it? It's almost the same. I'll leave the light on for now. All right, so let's do this blind hem type stitch now and see what we think of this. All right, here we go. Oops. Hold on one second. Take up arm, take up arm. There we go. Now I got it right. Now I got it right. Okay, here we go again. Oh, there we go. That's a better angle, isn't it? Okay. So again, you have some discretion with this Model 2000, don't you? When you get to some of the stitches, you might have some choice as far as stitch length. You might have some choice as far as stitch width. And it gives you a different pattern outcome, doesn't it? It gives you a different outcome as far as how that stitch is going to present. So that's where your fun comes in. And Solange might do it totally different than I do, because she's the owner when she gets it out in Oregon. So, yeah. There it is. This is Cam A. This is Cam A on this Model 2000. Really cool, isn't it? There is stitching there somewhere. There it is. There it is. You can catch a glimpse of it from the side, maybe. Just barely popping through that thick nap. Just barely popping through. I wish you could feel this one with your fingers. The amount of thread used to produce this top stitch here, this one here. I shouldn't say top stitch because then I'm going to confuse you. The amount of thread used to produce this stitch pattern up here, it's got to be half a spool. I mean, almost. It's so thick. It has so much depth and texture to it. It's just fantastic. Just fantastic. Yeah, that's Cam A. Cam A. Yay! Yay, Cam A! Yay, Cam A! All right. So now let's switch it back. So we see if we can do a regular good old-fashioned straight stitch, a zigzag, and then a 3-point zigzag. And then we will have covered all of the utility stitches. All of the utility stitches will be covered at that point. Back to a straight stitch from where we were at. We got to take our stitch selector and we got to turn it clockwise. Keep turning it. Keep turning it. Keep turning it. Almost there. So now we're on this shared position right here. You can see it right here. I'm going to be pointing with Alex's clippers. Straight stitch, zigzag, and also buttonhole is what that setting is right there. Straight stitch, zigzag, and buttonhole. So that's where we want to be right there. Then we have to decide about the stitch length over here. I'm going to go fairly long. I'm going to go almost all the way to 4. I'll go right about to there, right around 3 3/4, 3.5, something like that. And then we have to adjust our stitch width over here. Right now we're going to get a zigzag. We're not ready for a zigzag yet. We want to go all the way over to here to 0 so that we're going to get a straight stitch. So we set our stitch width to 0. We set our stitch length to about 3.5, 3.25, something like that. And then we set our stitch selector over here to the straight stitch zigzag setting. So we're going to use this twice. We're going to use it to do a straight stitch, and then we're going to adjust our stitch width, and we'll do a zigzag right after that. Okay? All right, so let's start with a straight stitch, and then we'll go to a zigzag. And I'll leave the camera like this for the basic utility stitches. All right, take-up arm is all the way up. Good to go. And now we'll lay down a straight stitch. And let's jump into this. All right, here we go. Yeah, good looking straight stitch. Nice looking straight stitch. I think I said it a couple of times in the other live streams. These new clippers that Alex and his wife sent me from Wawak, from California, out in that neck of the woods, are just a blessing beyond regards. They really are. They're really a blessing. My old blue ones were ready to give up the ghost. I had been using those blue clips that look similar to these. I had been using them for probably almost 2 decades. So they lasted a good long time, didn't they? Let me do the zigzag, and then we'll look at the 2 of the utility stitches at the same time, if that's okay. Let's get that back into place. So the only real setting change we have to make is to our stitch width. And I'm going to go wide or go home, as our Texan friends say. We'll go all the way up to 4. And when you do a wide zigzag like that, or any wide stitch, you're really testing the boundaries of how that tension is going to be maintained. Remember, think about as you use a swing stitch like a zigzag, your needle is hitting certain points. The wider that span is, like a bridge, the more stress you're putting on that thread to maintain its form. The more stress you're putting on that thread to maintain its form. So if you don't have the right tension balance, like stretching a bridge, that thread is going to look loosey-goosey. So I'm going as far as I can to number 4 on the stitch width. We'll see how our tension maintains. We'll do the same thing on our stitch length. We're going to take it all the way up to the max of 4. So we've got a 4x4 zigzag stitch that we're going to be trying to do. And then we'll be able to look at that tension and see how we did. And we've got a little bit of an advantage because our check spring setting with that little secret tab on the bottom is at its maximum. So it's going to be pulling up with that check spring nice and hard to try to give us a nicely defined lock stitch. That's usually when you deal with wider swing stitches, that's where you're going to run into problems. You're going to run into problems with that lock stitch not being maintained because that needle has to sweep down and then pull that thread back up again, and you're going to lose some of the tension in that process. So let's see how we do with this really long, really wide zigzag stitch on this model 2000. All right, here we go. And I intentionally took that slow. I intentionally took that slow to show that you can control the beastly power of this Swedish beauty. The beastly power. Oh, interesting. And see, this raises a point. I'm going to show you what we got, and then I'll show you how we can correct it. So when we're looking at these stitches right now, I'm going to look at these stitches together. You're going to see our straight stitch and our zigzag that we just laid down. There they are. Folks, those are some really, really pretty stitches. Those are some page 34, probably almost page 34 plus stitches. But what I talked about on tension, we're going to see shortly when we look at the lock stitch for that zigzag. All right, let's go across these. Very, very nice. Now here's where the trick comes in, and this is where all of you are going to be way ahead of the other sewists out there. You're going to be way ahead because you're going to look at this and you're going to say right away, you know what to do. You know exactly what to do. Nothing wrong with a straight stitch, but take a close look at that zigzag. Take a close look at that zigzag. Once the camera focuses, you can take a close look at that zigzag. Let's try it like that. There we go. See, that Swedish beauty is trying so hard. That Swedish beauty is trying so hard, but we took the stitch width and the stitch length to the max, a 4x4. We didn't make any tension adjustments. We just decided to go for it. And what you're going to notice is that in certain places, you can actually see the knot. You can actually see the knot where that thread didn't up with the upper tension, did it? Let's take a closer look again. We kind of knew that was going to happen, didn't we? All of us knew that was going to happen. So how do we correct it? What do we do to correct it? What do we do if we stitch this down one more time? What should we do before we stitch it a second time to correct that little loosey-goosey thing going on with that lock stitch? What do we do? Help me out. Help me out. What do we do? Read Susie's comment. time I go out in the morning, I kind of look around real carefully to see if any of the Hello Kitty needle people are outside getting ready to try to jump me or something. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. Yep, Susie is spot on, isn't she? Nope, I think I have a gnat over here. What is that? Okay. So yeah, we're gonna bump up the upper tension, aren't we? We got to bump the upper tension up just a little bit. So right now we're actually really, the way I have this calibrated, I wanted to give Solange a lot of latitude in adjusting the upper tension so she doesn't have to mess around with the bobbin. So we've been doing all of these sew-offs at a really low range on the upper tension. We're only at about 4. We're only at about 4. So we're going to bump it up somewhere between 4.5 to 5. What do y'all think? Should we go 4.5 or should we bump it up to 5 straight away? Just type in the live chat 4.5 or 5.0. 4.5 or 5.0. Or 5.0. Oh, hey, I didn't see. I know that everyone said hello already, but I didn't see that my dear friend, as I say, my favorite lady in the state of Vermont, Erin Allen joined us as well. It's great to have Erin here too. So we're going to go 4.5. That seems to be the consensus vote. The consensus vote is saying let's go 4.5. So we're only going to bump it up about 0.5 from here up to right about there. We're going to sew it again and see whether or not that's enough. I would have been, because we're dealing with protected full grain leather, I would have been more inclined to go closer to 5, but we're going to try yours first and maybe it'll be enough. And again, the cautionary note, and I think that Susie and Emma are incredibly intelligent, incredibly wise in saying, let's go 4.5 to start, because if you go too far, if we go all the way to 5 and we tighten up the lock stitch, but we tighten it up too much, what do we sacrifice? If we tighten it up on the bottom here and we go all the way to 5 on the upper tension, what can the bad outcome be? What can the adverse outcome be if we go too far? I think that makes sense. Yeah, the top stitch, Emma's spot on. The top stitch can be sacrificed. If we tighten up the lock stitch too far, we take away from the top stitch. Right now, we've got a really good looking top stitch. But if we go too far, we can sacrifice it. We can sacrifice and lose the clarity of stitch on top because we've turned it too far. So we're going to start with 4.5. And if we have to go up to 5, we'll stitch it one more time and we'll stitch it at 5 then. Now, remind me, because I don't remember, I looked at the live chat real quick. It looks like Madeline is winning. But I believe Madeline won a set of Guggenheim scissors already, didn't she? Was it Madeline or was it Emma? Our two ladies from the Naples, Florida area. I was crisscross them. So one of those two ladies, either Emma or Madeline, already won a pair of Guggenheim. If it's Emma that won them, then Madeline can certainly win. But if Madeline already won, then we've got to go to the next runner-up with the most number of thumbs ups. So take a look at that and let me know what you see. So Madeline, Emma just said Madeline already won a pair of Guggenheim shears. So we've got to be looking at the second person running up with the next number of thumbs ups. to win the Guggenheim scissors. And it can't be cow country. When I was first getting established on Google with reviews and stuff, I reviewed myself. You'll notice that I reviewed myself, and a number of people enthusiastically with whatever I wrote, they gave me a thumbs up. There's quite a few thumbs ups there, but I can't win. And Madeline can't win. So I have to find that third runner up. See who got the most thumbs ups. And again, you can vote for yourself. If you wrote a review, vote for yourself. Call your friends, call your family, call whoever you want to call and give them that link and get them to like it before the end of the live stream. And you can win a really cool pair of those Guggenheim professional tailoring scissors. Okay. All right. So enough blah, blah, blah. Let's sew this same zigzag again. We're still at the 4x4 setting, and we'll see if we moved it far enough to address the looseness on that lock stitch. Okay. Let's see what we get. All right, here we go. Let's see if we went far enough or not far enough. My hunch was right. My hunch was right. We got to go a little bit higher. We got to go a little bit higher. Because we're at the max setting for stitch width and stitch length. We got to go a little bit higher. It's better. It's definitely better. But it's not there yet. I'll show you exactly what we got. So that top row, let me just double check. Yeah, that top row is going to be the second try that we just did. The bottom row is the first one we did. There it is. So we do need to go up to at least 5. And again, because this is protected full grain leather, it's got a high piercing threshold, which means it's going to be more difficult for that thread to get pulled up. We might even have to go to 5.5. And then if that's too far, if we start to sacrifice the top stitch, we can always back it off. So I'm going to be aggressive. I'm going to be aggressive and go all the way to 5.5 and see if that's not enough to overcome. Again, whenever you go to the max on stitch width, you're going to have to make adjustments to accommodate that lock stitch because of the span, like a bridge, the span between where those needle points are hitting and where that thread is dangling, where that thread is just hanging there. So we got to give it a little bit more support. All right. So I'm going to go up to 5.5 and we'll see if that does it. And then we on to potentially some of our other stitch options on the other camps. So I'm taking our stitch tension or upper tension, excuse me. We started at around, where do we start? We started at about 4. We went to 4.5, thought about going to 5, but now we're going to go all the way to 5.5. Right about there. Let's see if that's enough to overcome. See if that's enough to overcome our tension on the bottom. All right, here we go. This is our final run. I'm not going to adjust it beyond this because we know that we've got the range. We could go all the way up to 9. We can go all the way up to 9 if we need to. But we've started at 4. We went to 4.5. Now we're going to 5.5. And we'll see what impact that has. If it's not perfect as far as tightening up every facet of the lock stitch, that's okay because we know what to do. We would just increase our upper tension a little bit more gradually and see that we can impact that area. And then, also monitor that top stitch so we don't sacrifice it. All right, here we go. Well, I hate to say the teacher's a pretty smart dude. The teacher, fellow student, is a pretty smart dude, but that's what we needed. We started at 4. We started at 4 and we needed to increase it by 1.5. And it's okay. It's absolutely better. It's actually better that we didn't jump too high too quick and potentially sacrifice that beautiful top stitch. I agree with Emma and Susie. You always start in small steps and gradually push it up to a point where you can make the desired impact. And I want you to look at all three of these rows of this lock stitch. Look at all 3 rows. The top row is our last one. The middle one is the second one we did. The bottom one is the first one we did. And look at the impact together that we brought to get that lock stitch back in line again. We try it like this. There we go. So again, that one right over here is going to be our last one that we did. This one right here. I'm just double checking. Yeah, the one on the I guess is I'm backwards, so the one on the far left is the last one that we just did. And you can see that lock stitch is now reeled in and reined in beautifully to give us a nice looking lock stitch. You look at those 3 rows, you can see the significant thing that we made just doing 3 stitch lines, only 3 stitch lines. So now we have a page 34 lock stitch and page 34 top stitching as well. It's fun to understand how to overcome obstacles, isn't it? And we do it together. We do it together so that everyone else that watches this later as a video is going to understand, oh my gosh, I've been doing it wrong. I thought since the bobbin case was closer to the bottom of the material that I needed to bump that up to deal with the loose stitching on the bottom, when in fact it's the opposite. And again, very smart people can misunderstand that. I've had seamstresses that have contacted me that have been sewing for 40 or 50 years, did not understand what all of you understand already about how to manage tension issues. So, like I say, our folks in our classroom, because of all of our shared experiences, we're the smartest people on the globe. We just are. And I hope other people join us. So this is what we did with the protected full grain leather. We sewed all the stitches on cam A. We did a beautiful straight stitch, no issue there. And then we threw 3 phases with the zigzag to get that lock stitch spot on. That's kind of cool, isn't it? We accomplished a lot just with one material sew off on this protected full grain leather. Yeah. Cool. Super cool. All right, I'll throw this to the back and I'll just show you. It doesn't turn out great all the time. Let me show you some of the things I did off camera to get ready for this live stream. And I won't dwell on these. I'll just show you just briefly. But this is where I'm getting the machine calibrated and getting it adjusted, getting some weird outcomes with some of the sew offs. This is the sew off here on protected full grain leather where I'm using that cam B that's mismarked. I'm using that cam B that's mismarked, and I'm looking at the stitch plate on the front of Solange'S. Oh my gosh. Let me slow down. I'm looking at the stitch plate on the front of Solange. Oh my gosh. Solange. I'm looking at the Solange stitch plate. Let me just end there. I'm looking at the Solange stitch plate on this model 2000, and I'm saying, wait a second. That's not what the stitch plate says cam B is supposed to be stitching. That doesn't make any sense. And then I looked at it again. I thought, that cam is mismarked. It says cam B, but it's cam D like David. So yeah, those are some of my off-camera revelations. And I was goofing around with this, kind of sewing lengthwise. And then I was on 100% cotton, kind of goofing around with this as well, trying to get things right. So a lot happens behind the scenes getting ready for live streams that a lot of you are probably saying, gosh, I didn't know that. I thought Scott would just get done with the machine and it was perfect right away. No, it takes a couple of phases sometimes to get it to where it needs to be, as you witnessed today on this live stream as we were getting that zigzag spot on. So before I forget, I'm going to adjust our tension back now. We're on 5.5. I'm going to adjust it back down to 4, right in that range, so that we don't steal away our top stitch on some of the next sew-offs we might do. Unless we deal with leather again, then we'll adjust it back. All right. Why don't we go to the light side? Let's go to the light side. Let's go to the light side before we change out this cam potentially. And we'll look at this ribbon material that we've got. This fun ribbon material. Which again, if you ever need something that acts like a lint brush and you don't have a lint brush, just dig into your scraps and pull out some velvet. And velvet is the perfect lint brush. It picks up everything, every single thing that you could possibly imagine. That's why I keep brushing it off, or try to brush it off anyway. So let's do this now. Let's see if I can go back to the cam settings now for cam A and see if we can lay down some decorative stitching on this velvet. It's going to be a little bit tricky because velvet is real slippery, but we'll give it our best try, won't we? We'll give it our best try. I'm going to get that velvet into place. Get that presser foot down. And now we're going to go back to our cam settings and see whether or not we can have some fun with some decorative ornamental type stitching on a pretty velvet like this that you could use around the holidays, or you could use it, for whatever occasion you're using velvet for. Maybe on a pretty dress or any other application you use velvet for. All right, so let's do this. I'm not even going to bother with the blind hem. I'm going to go to the red stitch, the yellow stitch, and the blue stitch. And we'll see if we can lay those down on this velvet. So let's start with the red one. I'm going to turn my stitch selector to the red setting. And again, my needle is clear of the material. My needle is clear of the material. Keep going. That's blue. That's yellow. That's red. So now we have our stitch selector on red. I think you can see that, hopefully. Now our stitch length needs to also be on red. So we got to turn that all the way, 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 till we get right about there. And again, we've got a little bit of discretion in the red range. If we go further to the left, it's going to be shorter. If we go further to the right, it's going to be longer. So we'll probably go again right about in the middle. And then our stitch width down here is already on the rainbow setting, so it's already on red. So I'm not going to change that at all. So we will try our red stitch first. on this velvet material. Try our red stitch. And I'm going to try to just guide the material. I'm not going to put clips on it. That might be a mistake. That might be a horrible mistake, but I'm going to try to guide it a little bit and keep it together as best as I'm able. And then we'll check out this stitching. All right. The other thing I could do to help myself out a little bit, so I don't have to regulate the speed using just the foot controller. And I didn't even show you the foot controller yet if you're brand new to this channel. This is what an original Husqvarna foot controller looks like a big bus pedal. And it's got that royal crest again because the company was founded back in the 1600s originally. So they've got that royal crest that represents the king's decree. And then on the back side, they've got this little data plate down here that shows you that it is appropriate for the model 2000. It's also compatible with the other models that they name on there as well. So if you're looking for a replacement foot controller for your Swedish Beauty, make sure that it's compatible. And the compatibility issue comes into play with the way the foot controller is set up, as far as the voltage, the ohms, and everything else that it generates. Technical stuff that can influence how well it interacts with your motor. It's really a matter of the foot controller being compatible with the motor is why they give these data plates. And again, compatibility is a big thing when it comes to motor and foot controller. And the foot controller, again, is the gateway for the electricity coming in. So you want to make sure that it's compatible. If it's underrated, it's going to overheat. Overrated is not as big of a factor. Overrated is just fine usually when it comes to foot controllers. By overrated, I mean if a foot controller is rated for, say, 1.3 amps and your motor's only 1 amp, no problem. No problem. It gives you a bigger berth of power for that energy to flow through since this is the gateway. The converse of that is if your foot controller is only rated at 0.7 amps and your motor is 1.2 amps, then you're going to have a problem with that foot controller overheating because that gateway is not wide enough and that electricity is being held back and it's causing that controller to overheat. So watch for both and make sure that you've got a good setup to maximize that motor completely. Otherwise, it doesn't matter what size motor you have if you're not maximizing it, right? Doesn't matter. Let me just see. I think I might have give me 1 second here. Nope, I'm caught up. I thought I was missing something. Okay. So let's try this velvet now. We're going to be doing the decorative stitches off of Cam A on 100% velvet. It has kind of a plastic background. So we'll see how this 1964 Viking 2000 manages a lighter sew off with velvet, laying down some pretty complex stitching. I'm hoping we turn out okay. We'll give it a try though. All right, here we go. Okay, so that's our first stitch. And I'm looking at that pattern right now close up, and I'm wanting to tighten it up a little bit. So I'm going to adjust our stitch length just a little bit when we actually, no, I won't. No, I will not. And I'll tell you why I won't. Because the next stitch we're going to do, the yellow stitch, is going to engage tri-motion, and we need a longer stitch to accomplish that. So I can't shorten it for the next stitch, but I could have shortened it for this stitch, make that pattern even tighter and better clarity. Whenever you have a tri-motion stitch where those feed dogs are manipulating the material, always give yourself a little bit more stitch length to work with so that those feed dogs can do their dance without being congested. Yeah, it's still a nice, very lovely stitch. I like it a lot, especially on velvet. Looks really, really nice on velvet. So we're going to do our next stitch, which is our crazy, crazy complex one. And then we'll do our final blue stitch, the floral one, and then we'll look at all of them together on this 100% velvet. So this is our tri-motion stitch where I need to make sure that that stitch length is going to be nice and long. So I'm on red right now. I need to go to yellow so we can generate this really, really complex stitch. This one right here. Okay, so let's go to yellow here and yellow here. And again, this is going to be a tri-motion stitch where I do have discretion here. I already know with tri-motion, I need to give it the longest stitch length that I can. So I've got to bump it all the way to 4, so that those feed dogs have enough latitude to move freely. And then on the stitch width, I'm already on the rainbow setting, which includes yellow. So I don't have to do a thing with that. So yellow on the high end and yellow over here. Now we're going to try this crazy, crazy complex stitch on this velvet. And I will do my best. I'll do my best to see if I can hold the camera so you can see this stitch get laid down on this real pretty velvet. All right, so here we go. Keep your fingers and toes crossed. This is a booger, and I'm sorry I said booger, but I did. This is a booger of a stitch to try to lay down on velvet. Oh my gosh, I better drink some more Diet Coke. This is a heck of a stitch to lay down on velvet. It truly is. But we're going to give it our best try. All right, here we go. Hold on one second. What I'm doing real quick is I noticed that my thread had gotten a little twisted up here. Let me set the camera down. My thread had gotten a little twisted up there, and it was flowing through that thread guide, but it's kind of delaying a little bit, if that makes sense. All right, let's continue this. Let me just show you while we're sewing. Let me show you what that check spring is doing. You can see the needle, but let me show you the check spring. It's just as cool in my opinion. Hold on. All right, here we go. Maybe I'm just a kid at heart, but when I see that take up spring working in conjunction with the sweep of the take up arm and everything else, it's fascinating, the mechanics of that working in such beautiful concert. Really quite spectacular. Quite spectacular. I can't resist it. I got to show you what we did on that one. Amazing, isn't it? Really quite amazing. And our balance is good too. That's our lock stitch. We'll look at that. We'll do one more stitch and then we'll look at all of these together. But velvet is a material some people do and some people don't sew with it. You know what I mean? Some people sew velvet regularly. Some don't do it but once in a blue moon, if ever. They just don't. Something's horribly wrong. Something's horribly wrong. I'm actually sewing straight on velvet. I never sew straight, but my columns are pretty doggone spot on. It must, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. All right, let's check out this next stitch. We'll get that all set up. So now we're going to do the Master Gardener stitch. We're going to do the Master Gardener stitch now, that really pretty blue one right there. I think that's coming into view. So now we'll take our stitch selector, we'll turn it to blue. And we're already on blue over here. We're already on blue over here, but we're gonna tighten it up just a tiny little bit more. See how I'm moving that so that we're shortening that stitch just slightly. Last time I think we went in the middle. Now we're going to be going a little bit further over. Just a little bit further over. And then we're already on blue on the stitch width. So we've got blue through the rainbow on the stitch width, blue on the stitch length, and blue on the stitch selector. So now we're going to do the Master Gardener stitch next. The blue one up there. All right, let's check this one out. See what we think. This one moves kind of quick for me to hold the material, but I'll give it a go once I get my take-up arm in the right spot. I'll give it a go. Let's see how I do on this. Excuse me. All right. So if you're joining us a little bit late, our setup is a Schmetz Universal 9014 needle. We've got Coates & Clark dual duty XP thread, nothing fancy, just a basic utility type thread. And we're sewing on 100% velvet that has kind of a slippery background. And this is a 1964 Viking 2000, belongs to Solange out of the great state of Oregon. So here we go. All right. All right, I'm going to stop right there. You rotate this down. Go over to here. We haven't done this yet. Go over to here. My cord is shorter, so I can't go all the way, but I'm going to pull out our slow gear. Kind of see it right there. Pull out our slow gear, which is going to slow us down from full speed. It's going to slow us down from full speed down to 1/5 speed. So we have more control down at the needle. We have more control down at the needle. Okay. All right, we'll finish off this this blue pattern now. All right, and you're going to hear the machine. Machine's going to sound very different because we're using a gear reduction to slow that machine down dramatically. All right, here we go. You can hear that motor being held back a little bit. Again, it's not going to increase the power. It's not going to change the power of that motor. You have a 1 amp motor, it's going to be a 1 amp motor. It's not going to all of a sudden get like a super power. And that's the misgivings that a lot of people are spreading on the internet. The slow gear on the Swedish Beauties reduces the speed. It does not increase the power. But the reality is, since this is a dual belt driven machine, there's a long belt that goes over the balance wheel, comes down to the bobbin assembly, and then there's a shorter belt that goes from the bobbin assembly to the output pulley on the motor. The reason that some people think that they have more power when in fact they don't is because you lessen or you reduce the likelihood of slipping, especially since a lot of people don't go by the rule that all of you know, and that is launch whenever possible with your take-up arm at the highest position. They'll launch somewhere down here and they wonder why they're struggling. So you launch at the highest point, but just realize you're not going to get more power. You're going to get better traction. You're going to get better traction at launch because the motor's not going to spin up as fast. So you're not likely to slip. But you're just going to slow down the speed dramatically, 1/5 compared to full speed. Hope that makes sense. Okay, so now look at this 100% velvet, the 3 different stitches that we laid off of cam A, and see what we think of those. This is our top stitch first. There it is. Spectacular, isn't it? Beautiful, beautiful stitching. And again, we're not sewing with an embroidery thread. We're not sewing with an embroidery needle. And yet we're still getting some beautiful, beautiful outcomes with these decorative ornamental type stitches on cam A. And again, like I said, this stitch that is on this side over here, the stitch that's on this side over here, I think it's the red stitch. If I were sewing this stitch instead of just a one-off, if I were sewing it all day long, I would shorten that stitch length even more to tighten that pattern more than it is right now. It's good, but it could be even better if we shorten that stitch length and kind of pull that together a little bit more. You know what I mean? Give it even better clarity. Lock stitch. Very, very nice stitching. Very nice stitching. I like velvet, don't you? Velvet just gives you a rich feeling when you're working with it, doesn't it? Just gives you a feeling of wow, amazing, amazing stuff. All right. Just gonna look and see what other we didn't really go to the heavy side yet. Really didn't go to the heavy side. And I could certainly do some of that spandex stuff, but I haven't sewn regular denim in quite a while. So I'm inclined to try to do some regular denim on this machine as well. I'm not going to be doing it with a decorative ornamental stitch, although I could, would say 2 layers or maybe 4. But what I want to do right now is just lay down maybe a zigzag going down several layers of this regular denim. Let me adjust that down. So I've got 2 layers to start, and I've got 4 layers, and then I've got 6 layers. 6 layers of heavy denim. And this is not that that spandex denim. This is good old fashioned. Let's work on the farm. Let's work on the farm and not go to the fashion show. This is work on the farm type denim. So I'm going to cut that off on the edge a little bit with these Guggenheims. Yeah, I think that'll be a decent test of testing that 1 amp power, don't you? A nice thick sew off. 6 layers of heavy grade denim. And we're going to be smart. We're going to be smart, and we're going to adjust our upper tension before we even launch on this puppy. And I can feel that I'm a little bit snug on there. I'm a little bit snug on there. So I'm going to use my cheaters method. If you join us a little bit late, our cheaters method is I'm trying to get those 6 layers of denim underneath that presser foot. It's not going. It's not going. There's just not enough room. So I'm going to release my presser foot pressure by just pushing this little tab right here. It's going to push this little tab right here. And then I'm going to manually lift up my presser foot so I can slide this into place. See that? Just make sure my thread is properly tightened up again so that we don't have a lot of bunching up underneath there. Now I'm going to re-engage my presser foot pressure by just pinching these two together. Close my faceplate. And now I need to adjust the machine. Need to adjust the machine now. And you know what we haven't tried yet? What we have not tried yet is a 3-point zigzag. We've not done a 3-point zigzag. So I'm going to turn my stitch selector right here to 3-point zigzag. You can see that's what we're on now is the 3-point zigzag. Then I'm going to decide on my stitch length and my stitch width. I think this time I'm going to go a little bit shorter. I'm going to drop it down to about a 3 on stitch length. And then on stitch width, I think we'll match it at a 3 as well. So we're doing a 3 by 3 3-point zigzag through 6 layers of heavy denim. 6 layers of heavy grade denim. You can look at it from the side if you're curious how thick that is. All right, let's give this a go. See how we do. Take-up arms all the way at the highest position. So we're going to jump into this. And let me get your input. Let me get your input, please. Should we sew this regular speed, or should we sew this with the slow gear? Regular or slow? And I need to remember to adjust this as well, don't I? Our upper tension, we need to adjust that. We're only at 4 right now, just like when we had that issue with the leather, I believe it was. We need to bump it up to about 5.5. So we just adjusted this from 4 to 5.5 because we're going through a lot of denim. Look at that. We're going through a lot of denim. And that lock stitch every opportunity to succeed. Every opportunity to succeed. Okay. With Susie, the owner should pick. So Solange, do you want me to sew it regular speed, or do you want me to sew it with the slow gear? And the slow gear, again, is just pulling that bobbin assembly out. Okay, we're going to go slow gear. Slow gear. So I'm going to re-engage, slide the machine over a little bit. I'm going to engage that slow gear again. Again, I do that just by grabbing this assembly right here and pulling it out. And that, again, is going to reduce our speed from full speed to 1/5. Okay. All right, 6 layers of 6 layers of non-spandex denim. Non-spandex denim. Okay, just make. Yep, I got my. I wanted to double check that I had the presser foot pressure re-engaged again. Otherwise, that'd be fairly disastrous. Okay, so this is going to be not a standard zigzag. This is going to be a 3-point zigzag. So watch that needle do its dance as best as you can. All right, here we go. That might be too much for that. That might be too much. We'll see. Yeah, I don't think that. Let me see what we got. I don't think that's. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be happy. I think 6 layers might have been pushing it just a little bit too far with that type of stitch. Let me go to a standard zigzag, I think. Yeah, I don't like the look of that. I don't like the look of that. And the other factor is even bumping it up to 5.5. I think it's going to be a little bit too much. Here's what I'm going to make a command decision. We're going to sew it slow. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this apart first of all. I'm going to try to pull it apart. Oh boy. And this, I don't think this has spandex. It feels like it doesn't. Let's see here. Okay, let me move that out of the way. And obviously I didn't test this off camera, so I didn't, yeah. All right, so there's 2. Let's see how I can do this. Let me try 4 layers to start. That way I don't have to raise that presser foot either. Let's try 4 layers on this. Raise that take-up arm all the way. Just checking threading. Okay. That looks good. Let me try this same stitch, and I'm going to go down these 4 layers and just see what result we get. And I'm also going to bump up that upper tension even a little bit higher on this. I'm curious if there is spandex in there. Doesn't feel like it, but there might be. All right, slow gear again. Let's give this a take 2. 4 layers of denim. Still a very heavy sew off. Let's see what we get this time. Yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah. That's what we needed to do. I think 6 is just a little bit crazy for this denim. So we bumped it down just to 4, which is still a nice heavy sew off. And I got a good result from that. Then I'm going to lay down a regular zigzag next to it. And then we'll take a look at both of these stitches. Lay down a regular zigzag. So the only change we're making is we're going to change from a 3-point zigzag to a regular zigzag. We'll leave our settings on 3 and 3. Now let's do this next one. See what we get from this. Now we'll do this one slow as well. All right, here we go. And I didn't show you specifically, but when you go between slow gears, you've got to push this back in to be able to move the balance wheel. So I'm going to push it back in. and then the balance wheel will turn. All right, let's take a look at these stitches. So a 3-point zigzag on top. We started with 6 layers, which we couldn't even fit underneath the presser foot. And the machine just wasn't happy with 6 layers, at least with our current setup. So we dropped it down to 4, and we laid down a beautiful 3-point zigzag and a zigzag as well. 3-point zigzag is on top. Eventually it'll focus. It's kind of hard to see. Kind of hard to see because it's a lighter denim with a light thread, but I think if you look close, you can probably see it. Hold on a second again. We'll flip it over and look at that lock stitch. See if that bump up of the upper tension offset what otherwise would be loose stitching. Let's see if we accomplish that. It's our lock stitch. It's having a lot of trouble focusing on that because of the colors. I think what was happening is our bandwidth had dropped and the camera wasn't able to keep up with it because now all of a sudden it's focused in. I saw it kind of perk up a little bit. Yeah. So I would like to have gone to 6 to try it, but it wasn't going to happen. It wasn't going to happen. It was thicker than what was designed to fit underneath the presser foot, and it just wasn't able to do the proper job with that. Maybe with a different setup we could do it, but 4 layers is that's still a lot of denim. That's probably more than a lot of denim people would be sewing. So yeah. So now what I'd like to do is I'd like to concentrate on some more leather. Concentrate on some more leather, and then we're going to move towards wrapping this up pretty soon. Let me see if I've got some leather where we can do like a sew around in a circle or something like that. Yeah, I think this will work for It's not really a circle, but you can use your imagination. We'll sew around in a square today. And we'll probably do it with one of the decorative stitches on cam A. And maybe decorative is kind of crazy. We could try it. I don't know how low our bobbin is getting, but maybe we can do the floral one, sewing around in a circle. I'll ask excuse me, I'll ask Solange. Solange, as far as the decorative stitches, I don't think it's practical to do the yellow one, but we might be able to pull off the red one or the blue one. So I'll let Solange pick the red or the blue one to sew around on saddle grade leather. So either the red one or the blue one, and we'll buzz around in a circle for a little bit. Red or blue? Red or blue? I've got to look at our time too. I have no idea what our time is right now. 2 hours and 47. So here's what we're going to do. I've got a number of other sew offs that we could do. Just to recap what we've done so far. We started by going through the entire cam A, along with straight stitching and zigzag on protected full grain leather. We moved over to this velvet and we laid down all three of the fairly complex ornamental stitches on cam A. And then we finally just got done messing around with this denim, and we got through 4 layers of that, laying down a 3-point zigzag and then also a standard zigzag as well. So now I think to wrap things up, we've done light, we've done heavy, we've done everything in between. I think what we'll do now is we'll sew around in a circle. Let me just see what the owner wants as far as the stitch. Okay, we're going to do red. We'll do red, and we'll sew around the edges and kind of work our way in so we can create a little bit of a tapestry. Let me get this into place. Get this all the way up. Okay, so we're going to set up for the red stitch now. So we got to take our stitch selector. Right now we're in the utility setting for straight stitch and a zigzag. Got to keep going until we hit red. There's blue, yellow, and red. So we've got our stitch selector on red. Now we need to go to the stitch length and set it on red. And since we're going to be going around in a circle, I'm going to go ahead and make it just a little bit shorter so I've got a little bit more reaction time to try to manage going around like that. So I'm going to go on the higher end right over here. The lower end would be a longer stitch. Just make sure. Let's see, a little bit shorter. I had that backwards. Down here on the end over here is going to be a little bit shorter. So we're going to go over this way. A little bit on the shorter end so that I'll have a little bit more reaction time to try to get us around the circle. Right about there. I don't want to go crazy short, but right about on that edge. And then finally, we have to take our stitch width and also take that to the red as well. So red, red, red. Let's give this a go. And I'll see if I can put on a little bit of music to sew by, because you've heard the machine run several times. Put on a little bit of sewing music here. Let's see. I'm not going to go with Swiss music. We'll go with something else. How about some dance music? We'll put on a little bit of dance music to try to watch me sew in a circle here, or in a square as it is. I think I better make that a little bit longer. There we go. What did I do? What did I do? What did I do? Hold on. Increase that a little bit. Again, this is saddle grade leather. I think I just ran out of bobbin thread. I ran out of bobbin thread. Hold on. Oh my gosh, it's hilarious. All right, let me stop that. Well, I think we ran it long enough. I'll show you what we got. All right, this is the red pattern that Solange wanted to see. This is our top stitching. And again, this is saddle grade leather. It's not a light garment leather. This is hardcore stuff. They use it in all kinds of equestrian applications and everything under the sun. So some beautiful, beautiful, come out a little bit more. Some beautiful, beautiful stitching. Almost looks like I tried to make a snail, but I wasn't aiming for a snail. I was just trying to aim to not break a needle or not do something else crazy. But some beautiful, beautiful stitching. You get closer as well so you can look at it. And most people would not try sewing a pattern like this, of this complexity, through leather without using a leather needle. We're using a universal needle by Schmetz. See the edge again? Here's our lock stitching. You just ignore the end where I ran out of thread, but some beautiful lock stitching as well. I'll try to show it to you like this. Look at that top edge to give you an idea again of the thickness of the leather. So is a Swedish beauty sexy and gorgeous and also strong? Yeah, all of those things. And that's why I have the privilege of I'm gonna be beginning soon. I'm running out of English words here. I'm gonna start working on a Swedish beauty for Candido soon. Candido has ordered a Swedish beauty, and he doesn't know it, but I'm gonna prepare a Swedish beauty and give him two cams that you can't find anywhere on the earth. Normally with a Swedish beauty like a 21A, type 21, something like that, you're going to get ABC. I'm going to give him A, B, C, D, and also E. E is like the unicorn of unicorns when it comes to Swedish beauty cams. So he's going to get all 5 with his setup. So even going around a circle like that using a non-leather needle, we maintain beautiful, beautiful stitch definition on the lock stitch. And also we maintain beautiful tension balance, but I did bump it up. I bumped it up anticipating we would need that little boost. So this is our lock stitch. And our top stitch. You look at the depth of that pattern. It's no wonder we ran out of thread. It's no wonder. Well, I want to thank Solange. I want to thank Solange for the opportunity of having this great machine in the workshop and giving it an opportunity for greatness on a live stream like this. If we had more time, I would try to use some of the other cams, but these are cams that I can discuss with Solange if she's interested in them, and look at sending cams. I was going to say cam B. I don't have a cam B, but I have a cam B that actually generates cam D. Oh yeah, thank you. The contest. I have cam B labeled, but it actually generates cam D. So I basically have her original cam A. I've got a cam D, which is labeled a cam B. No idea why. And then I have a cam C as well. And those are some gorgeous stitches as well. You can see the stitches on cam C. including our little Christmas tree one. And then I also have the Cam D that generates these stitches. So she and I could talk about that if she's interested in them. We can work those details out. And yeah. So anyway, thank you also to the leadership team. And it looks like we've got to do the contest real quick. So I've got, where is it? I've got the Guggenheim shears right here. Put them right in front. And how do we do as far as the voting? How do we do as far as the voting? Let's see what the voting looks like. Let's see what the voting looks like. So I've got a couple of text messages. So Emma sent me a reminder, the contest, exclamation point. Who won? The leaders looked at the thumbs up. It could not be Madeline. It could not be Suzanne Coulter, because those two won already. Susie won. Get out of here. Susie from Minnesota won? Ha-ha! Nice. So Susie from Minnesota is going to get a pair of Guggenheim professional tailoring scissors. Again, a lifetime warranty. If anything you don't like about them, just send them back and they'll send you a brand new pair. So congratulations to Susie. Yay. And again, I'll be giving more of these away in the future. So talk to your friends, talk to your family about going to that link, finding your cow country recommendation, liking it, and then you can win a pair of these as well. These are really fabulous scissors. Anyone that's gotten them just falls in love with them. What they can cut and with the ease that they can cut is just crazy. So congratulations to Susie. And thank you again to the leadership team for taking care of the family during the live stream. And what a great machine. What a great machine this Swedish beauty is from 1964. Whether it's velvet, saddle grade leather, or excuse me, protected full grain leather, 4 layers of denim. And again, with the right setup, could probably bump it up even higher than that. But 4 layers, that's quite a bit of denim. And then finally, our little sole around with this saddle grade leather, making a little snail thing, kind of completes the recipe as far as a great machine and what it's able to do. So have a great rest of your day. Thanks to everybody for being in attendance. It looks like we ran just a little bit over 3 hours. 3 hours and 5 minutes. And God bless. I'll put on a little bit more music to wrap us up. And have a great rest of your Tuesday. Thanks so much.